Hello and welcome to The Children of the Village. The Children of the Village is a miniature storytelling game where children are in fact the protagonists of the story. Let me introduce to you Will Bauer, a ruffian, Fab Bart, a troublemaker, Lime Spook, a goody two-shoes, and Bruin Koch, the ringleader. But for now, let's follow these four children through their first story, The Haunting. The sunset counter starts on the 2. The children start here in the corner of the forest. They're playing in the forest. And children, being children, sense something is odd here. And so they do what children do in such a situation. They run towards the nearest grown-up. And we start with Will Bauer. He moves his regular movement. Gets to roll 3 dice for additional movement. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. It ends up here. Lime Spook, the goody two-shoes. Moves his regular movement. And gets just to roll 1 die. That's okay. Moves here. Bruin moves here. And moves, runs here. And Fab moves here. And gets 3 dice for movement. Runs over here too. Okay. Now the grown-ups get to act. Here in the background, Mr. Bauer moves towards the village. That's nice. Roughly here. And Mrs. Bauer moves towards the nearest child, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's roughly here. Okay. And according to the scenario, at the end of turn 1, a ghost appears in the center of the forest. Next turn, we'll start with Will Bauer moving up here, and he shouts at his mom. He gets to roll 2 dice. Gets even results. It's perfect, so his mom moves away from him. Here, over here. Stand still. Next one to move is Fab, who moves up to the task token and runs the remaining inch. Then we've got Bruin Koch. I want him somewhere in the town center, so he moves up here, his regular movement, and then runs. So he just gets to roll 1 die. 1 inch, that's not much, but better than nothing. And last but not least, Lion Spook. Who I want to have somewhere in the town center too. And he gets to run. Yeah, full length into the town. That's nice. At least one of them is where he should be. Great. Now the adults phase. Once again, we start with Mr. Koch, Mr. Bauer, who moves just one day, who moves towards the nearest task token. That's the one in the village, very comfortable. Mrs. Bauer moves towards the nearest task token. That's this one. That's pretty nasty because she's in contact now with Bruin, who becomes worried. And last but not least, the ghost moves. The ghost moves towards the nearest child, which is Will Bauer. Ooh, that's pretty close. Will should move away from where he is. Third turn. We'll start with Bruin, going away from Miss Bauer, but shouting at her. So hopefully she moves into the village. And yes, there we've got our result to move her to the direction of the village. And yeah, we'll use Will, who's the son of Miss Bauer after all, so he gets an advantage on shouting at her. Comfort, as it's called here in Children of the Village. And he causes her to move even further into the village. So, perfect. We've got both adults now within the village, so the first scenario is won. The children have gathered behind Haus Spuk and are discussing what to do with the ghost. They agree the ghost has to be put to rest. Liam, being a spook, knows exactly what to do. They have to find out the ghost's name, his age, and the place where he has been buried. So, 3 questions are to be asked to the ghost. Fab begins by moving his regular movement and then moving up to the task token here in the center of the village. The other children try to get into the center of the village. Hoping to find the ghost somewhere. Very good. Yep. And here. All right. Children are somewhat in position. That's okay. It's the grown-up's turn. Mrs. Bauer moves towards the nearest child. It's okay. And Mr. Bauer moves towards the nearest task token. That's fine. So he gets down here. And once again, in the center of the forest, a ghost appears. Okay, next turn, Fab starts by trying to keep the sunset counter down. Perfect. Bruin just moves here, where he's still in the safety of the village. Liam moves into base contact. And last but not least, Will gets over here and he gets to run. Yeah, perfect. He gets into vicinity here. 3 children clocked together, hoping to get them replaced from the ghost. But at first, the adults, Miss Bauer moves toward the nearest task token, so she moves right back. Mr. Bauer moves toward the nearest child. So that's roughly here. Okay. And last but not least, the ghost moves towards the nearest adult, which is Mr. Bauer. Okay, and it reaches Mr. Bauer. That's not bad for Mr. Bauer, but that's bad for the sunset counter, because it increases. All right. So, once again, Fab tries to get the sunset counter down. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Liam starts to sing a lullaby to comfort the other 2 children. And both of them now try to ask the ghost one of the required questions. I get to roll 2 dice for each of them. If the result is odd, the question has been asked. I can select the die, so yes, the first question has been replied. And they get to ask another question. I have to check again. If the result is odd, the question has been answered. Right, perfect. 2 odd results. The second question has been answered. 1 more question needs to be answered by the ghost, but for now, it's the adult's turn. Miss Bauer moves toward the nearest child. Plop. Mr. Bauer moves toward the nearest task token. Well, this should be the one in the forest. And the ghost moves toward the nearest child, which is Bruin, who goes all the way down to scared. Right now. All right, again, we'll start with Fab, who tries to get the sunset counter down and succeeds. Great. Again, Lime sings a lullaby. Bruin probably should not ask the ghost any question as he's too scared. So only Will may ask a question now, but as this is the last question that needs to be asked, let's hope he succeeds. And we've got 2 even results. Shucks. So the sunset counter rises, and it's the adult's turn. Miss Bauer moves toward the nearest child, which is Will, who goes down to being worried. Mr. Bauer moves toward the nearest child. Yeah. So over here. And the ghost stays in contact with Bruin, bringing him down to caught. So, beginning with the next turn, the ghost may abduct Bruin, actually. And once again, Lion tries to reduce the sunset counter. Great. Fab. Sorry, Lion is here. Once again singing a lullaby, so Will gets a bonus on asking the ghost where it has been buried. Come on. If the result is odd, the question has been asked. So, 3 questions have been asked to the ghost. So, this part of the scenario has been won too. So, the children have figured out that the ghost's body lies beneath the field outside of town and not within the town where it should be. So, the plan is clear. The children get out, get the bones, and bring them back into the town where they belong. Once again, Fab starts by moving here and running to the task token where he can control the sunset counter, whereas the other 3 children try to get to the field. Lion. Okay. Over here. Ruin. over there too. And will gets here into the field. Okay, great. Now the grown-ups may move. Miss Bauer moves towards the village task token. Mr. Bauer moves towards the next task token, which is inside the forest. And once again, in the center of the forest, the ghost appears. Again, we start with Fab, reducing the sunset counter. Great. Lion gets in position right here. And again, he starts singing a lullaby to soothe the other children, which are going to work at the task token, such as Will here, who tries to unearth the bones of the kid. And 2 even results. That's not good. Sunset counter increases. Let's see. Okay, Brewing does not get close enough, so at least he runs the final inch. Next turn he'll be able to dig 2, hopefully. So let's see where the grown-ups move to. Mrs. Bauer moves toward the nearest task token, which is right here inside the village. Mr. Bauer moves toward the nearest child. That should be Fab. Okay. And the ghost moves towards the nearest grown-up. Okay, so roughly here. Whee! All right. Once again, Fab tries to reduce the sunset counter. And he succeeds. Liam keeps on singing, so the other 2 kids can dig and try to go for the bones. Perfect. Will has dug up a bone counter, so on the next turn he may move into town, and Bruin, perfect, digs up a bone counter 2. Great. Grown-up phase. Marbauer moves toward the nearest task token, which is this one. It's okay. Parbauer moves toward the nearest task token, the one here in town. And the ghost moves toward the nearest child. I guess it's one of these. Whee! Oh no. Oh no. Okay, again we start with fab, moving down the sunset counter. And now, what do we do now? Okay, we start with lion, moving here. And once again singing a lullaby and praying. Will moves 4 inches towards lion and runs with a 6. That's nice. That's nice. So he may run all the way into town, up to the town center, where he can remove the bone counter. And that way the sunset counter gets reduced. Great. The same for Bruin, who runs or walks here. Runs, that's not as far. But at least over here. All right, grown-up phase. Marbauer moves towards the nearest task token, but ends her movement here in Bruin's base contact, bringing him down to worried. Parbauer moves toward the nearest child, moves towards the sun, bringing him down to worried. And the ghost moves toward the nearest adult, which is Marbauer, but ends its move here. That's close. That's too close. However, the children still have an ace up their sleeve. All right. Fab does for once not try to reduce the sunset counter, but instead he calls the ghost by his name. So the ghost does not get to activate during this turn, which is good. Will buries the bones. And Bruin moves up to the town center counter, buries the bones too. And by moving to the counter, he reduces the sunset by 1. Bones have been buried twice. Liam, 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 Liam. Moves back into the field and tries to dig some bones out. However, he doesn't manage to dig them out, so sunset once again increases. Okay, but it's all good. We can handle this. Adult's face. Marbauer moves toward the nearest child, which is Ruin, bringing him down to worried. Parbauer moves toward the nearest task token, but gets stuck with his own son. So Will is down to worried too. And the ghost does not get to act at all. All right. Let's start the turn with Liam. He digs out a bound counter. Perfect. So Fab can once again try to decrease the sunset counter, which he manages to do. It's great. And the other two children should try to get away from their parents and the ghost. So they just moved away. Right, adult's face. Marbauer moves toward the nearest task token. This one. Parbauer moves here. And the ghost moves toward the nearest child, which is Fab. But there's a grown-up in the way. So the ghost does not get into contact with the child, but the sunset counter increases. That's not too bad. We're at a sunset counter of 3, so there's still plenty of time left for Liam to bring the bones into the town center. All right, once again, we start with Fab trying to bring down the sunset counter. Perfect. And Liam moves back into the village. Oh, not good, not good. It's too close to the ghost. All right, adult's face. Marbauer. Toward the nearest task token. So that's roughly here. Parbauer moves toward the nearest child, which is Liam, bringing him down to worried, and the ghost moves toward the nearest grown-up, thus increasing the sunset counter. All right. Last turn, final move. Liam moves into the town to the town task token and buries the last bones and thus releases the ghost. Whee! The children win the final scenario. The ghost has been laid to rest. The dreams of the villagers become peaceful and the fields prosper. Sometimes, when the children are playing in the woods, they catch a brief glimpse of another child at the edge of their games, unknown, but somehow familiar.